don't even know where to start, guys. I don't even know where to start. I'm not even going to bother making this a rant. This isn't even going to be a rant. This is just going to kind of be me saying what needs to be said, airing out whatever needs to be aired. I'm not going to pop off. I'm not going to... I mean, I could pop off. I might. But I'm not going to make this a rant type episode. I'm not. I'm going to use my energy elsewhere. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to InHeintzSight. If you guys have been keeping up with my content, my channel, I did post something this past week of an episode of Z and I of Who Are These Guys podcast onto my channel, just because I haven't really uploaded recently, and I'm just kind of wanting to get some of our stuff out there on my channel a little bit. But beside the point, to all my Bucco fans, all my Pirate fans out there, this video is for you guys. It's like I don't know what to say, but I do. But I just feel so tired and nauseated at saying it over and over and over again. We look at this Pirates team, man, and out of all the years I've watched this team, this has to be the biggest downfall I think I've seen from them. They start the season 20-8. Now, granted, the Pirates did not have much expectations of anything this year. Really, going into this year, it was more so whatever talent they have now that is going to be long-term, and then talent they have coming up this year. Those were kind of really the main things. And you want to see, obviously, improvement. They won, 62 games last year? They won 62 and 100. So going into this year, I was kind of thinking, okay, they're going to win around maybe 75 games. Sure. Now, I say that especially before freaking Z comes in the comment section, Twitter comments, or online and says to me that I had him winning the World Series this year, that us Pirate fans say this every year, where I don't know where he gets that from, because no Pirate fans have expectations of anything. So don't really get what narrative he's saying. But going into this season, yeah, the Pirates didn't have expectations. They were probably projected to finish 4th or last in their division. And but anyway, they start 20-8 on the season, and they had the best record in the National League at that time in the month of April. And us Pirate fans, we were enjoying the ride, and there's nothing wrong with that. We were enjoying the ride. We knew what was realistically going to happen. And I said after the month of April, I said, look, they're going to hit slumps. They're going to stop winning games. It's going to happen. But the important thing for this team is, now I'm saying this at the time when they were 20-8 in April, or even going into May, where they still had a pretty good record. And I said, look, the important thing is this team being able to find some consistency throughout certain points of this season. And if they can find themselves floating around a little above 500 mark come the All-Star break, that would be a great thing for them. And that's a realistic thing that I said. I didn't say, oh, yeah, this team's 10 games above first place. No. They were 20-8. We were enjoying the ride. Great start. May hit. They had an awful May. They started to do better in the beginning of the month of June, and now they've just had, honestly, a pretty miserable June as well. But what I was saying was not out of realm. I said, look, they're 20-8. We're going to join the ride. Things are going to slow down. Things are going to creep in. Some of these young guys are going to slow down. Some of these other guys that they brought in, like Rich Hill, Connor Joe, Santana, those guys are going to slow down. Jawan Bay, a young guy who had a good hot start, is going to slow down. And it did. And it happened. But by slowing down, I don't mean absolutely hitting bottom of the barrel and being arguably the worst team in baseball over the last 2 months. And this is the issue. You have a team who, not just they were 20-8, it's not even just that, but you have a team that has some talent. Brian Reynolds, we know O'Neal Cruz is pretty much has been lost for most of the season. Ke'Bryan Hayes, but we know Ke'Bryan Hayes doesn't really offer too much offensively, but still. Jack Sawinski was a guy last year that showed some promise with his power, and he was doing that. You look at Carlos Santana, he was doing some good things the first month or two. McCutchen bringing back. The Pirates' bullpen was very, very good throughout April and May. And their starting rotation was really good in April and a little bit into May. And even now, like we're at the end of June, I'd say probably the last couple weeks, like their rotation hasn't been too bad as I record this. But that's the issue, is that this team, not just that they had a hot start, but it's just that this team, again, did not do enough or much at all in the offseason to get better. After the season ended last year and them losing 62 games, it was like, okay, we have a little bit of talent here, but the Pirates needed to go out and actually commit to a couple guys, not break the bank or anything like that, and they didn't do that. I am very tired of the one-year contracts. I'm really tired of it. You're able to go out and go sign some guys to multi-year deals. You're able to. Sure, the Pirates brought back McCutchen on a cheap contract. Sure, they traded for G-Man Choi. Okay, they brought in Rich Hill. Great. They brought in Connor Joe. Like, this is what I mean. They brought in guys that not necessarily are like garbage. Like, they're not bad. But it's nothing groundbreaking. It's nothing to ultimately take the team from here to even just up here. It's just not enough. And when we look at this team in the month of April when they were 20-8, right? O'Neal Cruz was pretty much out. But the guys of Connor Joe and Santana and I guess even McCutchen a little bit. McCutchen still can play, but even him just a little bit. Jason DeLay, the backup catcher. Jawan Bay. Some of these guys that are young guys or guys that have been around the league, it's going to come to a point where things slow down. It's going to be to a point where reality kind of sits in. These guys are just going to kind of be who they were, right? So that's on the Pirates for not doing anything much of the offseason to have some other options. Because when you look in AAA at this point, and when they were before the season started or even into April, May, AAA, Henry Davis, Endy Rodriguez, Nick Gonzalez, those are kind of really your three guys that you're going to be relying on to come up this year. Positional players wise. And the fact that, fast forward, all right, great, you brought up Henry Davis now. You brought up Henry Davis a week ago. About time. Endy Rodriguez isn't up yet. And then you have Nick Gonzalez, who hasn't gotten a hit yet, but who knows if he's ultimately even ready for this level. Who knows? So really, this is just the typical Pirates. And this is why I'm not utilizing my energy, because it's nothing new. It's nothing new. They don't go out and spend the money. They don't go out and bring other options or, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like some assurance. They don't do that. They don't do that. They went in the season with what they pretty much had from last year, a couple other new guys that aren't going to really change the landscape of the team. And then now you have a couple key guys that have gotten hurt, and now you don't have anything to back that up. And that's why it's so important to utilize money in free agency, because you can't just rely on your young talent or these guys that are part of the future to figure it all out for you. You need guys to complement them. You need guys to bolster what's around them. I'm sorry. And now we're looking at now in year 4 of rebuild, and the Pirates went from 20-8 to 500 to 4 games above 500 in the beginning of June. Now they're about 7-8 games under 500 now, and they went 0-9 last 2 weeks ago, facing the NL Central, and they just lost a series to the Marlins today. So I don't really know what to tell you. And they're still putting out lineups with Josh Palacios and Austin Hedges and Jason DeLay and Rodolfo Castro, and who else is there? Connor Joe, Tucupita Marcano. Like, this is what I mean, dude. This is what I mean. If you went into free agency this offseason with the team, all right, we have Reynolds, we have O'Neal Cruz, we have Cabrian Hayes, right? We have a guy in Sawinski we like. We're bringing back Andrew McCutcheon. We bring in Carlos Santana, and we bring in G-Man Choi to pair with him. Okay, that's definitely an upgrade over what you had last year, right? But now, let's go into free agency here, and let's bring a couple guys in this lineup. Let's try to do what we can do. And they didn't do that. And that's what hurts them. When you look at pretty much over the years that the Pirates, let's say since 2015, right? Like the Pirates have really been rebuilding since 15, but I'm talking about when their new GM took over. This is year 4 now. So, but they don't do that. And that's just the frustrating thing, because the Pirates are sitting about 7-8 games under 500 now, when in the beginning of the month they were about 3-4 games above 500, fighting for first place. And the Milwaukee Brewers were on a landslide, and they don't take advantage of that. And then they decide to go 0-10 and lose 10 in a row, and then they lose the series to the Marlins. So, and that's just a damper. This is what I mean, guys. It's just really, what else is there to say? Every year as a Pirate fan, man, it's the same expectations. And the fact that you bring in a new GM, you bring in a new coach in year 2020, and ultimately nothing's different, is a huge issue. I think the GM has done a decent job at some things, at bringing in some talent, rebuilding the farm system. But in terms of, and again, we don't know how much leverage the owner lets them have. But I'll be honest, in terms of what the GM has put out, bringing in talent from the outside to come in, when we look at Derek Shelton's management, the last 3-4 years, there's no excuses anymore for Derek Shelton. There's not. Derek Shelton he didn't have anything to work with his first couple years. Definitely not. But this year, he actually has some talent, and it's going right down the drain. We look at pitching management, when certain situational pitching comes in and what he does there. Substitutions, his substitution methods, when you're down by a run or two, and you have a guy like Henry Davis coming up and you substitute him out and pinch hit Jason DeLay for him, I don't know what to tell you. The fact that you have Hedges, who hits a $170, hitting, having the game in his hands with bases loaded, 2 outs, I don't know what to tell you. It's terrible. Sure, he's a motivator. Sure, it seems like maybe some guys want to play for him, but there's nothing that takes him over the top. There's been nothing different. When we look at how this season, the trajectory of this year, this team on the trajectory of finishing in 4th or last place again, and you've been in this rebuild for 3-4 years now, and nothing's changing, nothing's getting better, well, there's an issue. And I'm somebody who likes to commit to coaching and stuff. But dude, when you're not getting better, that's an issue. You won 62 games last year. You had some talent at the start of this year. You've brought up a little more talent from your minor league system, and you're getting worse. The hitting coach, again, he's an issue too. And this team can never figure out their coaching personnel. So I think really the most frustrating part for me this year is that, look, I didn't have expectations for this team. I thought, okay, with some of the talent they got now, and with some guys that are going to come up, I expect them maybe to win a little bit above 70 games. Okay, so let's say that's about a 13 to 15 game improvement. Okay, that's good on paper. But the fact you were 20-8, and this goes to Ben Cherington, the GM, this goes to Derek Shelton. The fact that you're 20-8 in April, the end of April, and you're in first place, and all throughout May, you have an awful May, and you're back to around a couple games above 500 come the end of the month, and the division is playing very bad, and you're still in first place even after that bad of a May. And then going into June, the Milwaukee Brewers, who have been on you, who was the team that was on you, are on a big landslide, and you're not taking advantage of any wins, and you find yourself getting back to under 500, and then you go 0-9 against NL Central teams, and then you just lose a series to the Marlins. I mean, dude, that's awful. You are, let's see, the Pirates lost 10 in a row, then they won, and then, so they're 1-13 their last 14 games. That's awful. Where's the accountability? Seriously, what ultimate changes are going to be made? What changes can you even make that might make a difference this year? I don't know, because they don't spend. You have Brian Reynolds, but he's out right now. Even Reynolds hasn't been cooking it up this year, really. He's still a good player. He's still part of your future. Hayes, yeah, O'Neal Cruz being out hurts, but ultimately you were winning games without him. McCutchen, yeah, he's probably been our brightest spot. Now you have Henry Davis up, okay. Mitch Keller's has had a pretty good season. Oviedo's had a pretty good season as a starter. Rich Hill's kind of hit or miss. You don't know what you're going to get. Your bullpen hasn't been good for the last probably month, but other than that, it was pretty fire. And you have some guys in there that can throw. Bednar, Holderman, but he's out. Hernandez is out. Moretta's been bad, but he's been good throughout the year, other than the last couple weeks. So seriously, what's the accountability? What's the excuse? Who's the scapegoat? It's just ultimately really the dagger of this team. I just really the thing that irks me is the fact that throughout the month of May, and that bad of a month, nothing was changed. There was nothing changed. There was no urgency. You're playing in a bad division. You're 20-8. You're playing in a bad division. Throughout the month of May, you're having an awful month. But you're still in first because the division's that bad. But there's no urgency. There's nothing being done to keep yourself afloat around that spot. And then come this month of June, you're 0-9 against the NL Central, and you go 1-4 in the series against Miami just today. No difference. No urgency. Like I said, you brought Henry Davis up, but that's a given. Nick Gonzalez, Andy Rodriguez, when he comes up, all right, great. But again, no urgency. Coaching staff is poor. And that's just really the big thing that irks me. And then the fact that the trajectory of this team's to finish in fourth and last again, really, in year 4, no difference, nothing better. That's a huge issue. And something's got to be done about it. And I think Shelton being canned should be on the table. A new hitting coach, some new coaching personnel in there. That might just need to be something, again, that's done. Because when we look at it, this team has some talent right now. Brian Reynolds, Henry Davis, O'Neal Cruz, Brian Hayes. When Andy Rodriguez gets up here. Mitch Keller, Oviedo, some guys in their bullpen. There's talent there. Is it a playoff team right now? No, it's not. But there's some talent there. And the fact that you're playing this bad with it is very concerning. Going into next year, you keep your talent you have right now, right? And you go make some moves for agency and add to that. And I guarantee you that you're going to see quite a bit of difference with the teams. That's really just the most frustrating thing, I think, this year. And we're back at the point as Pirate fans where we don't really care if we lose, where we're not watching the games, or people aren't going to the games. This team was fun to watch in April. They had a pretty hot offense in April, man. They had some skits in May. Sure, May was a bad month, but still playing in first place. Still some skits here or there. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you, and it's frustrating. So, wanted to come on here, guys, kind of put that out there, put some of my thoughts out there about really the current state, really the things with the team, and maybe just some things that I hope to see change. Because I really think if you can put out a lineup of not that ultimately it's going to put you on a run necessarily, but come August when O'Neal Cruz comes back, Cruz, Davis, Rodriguez, Kutch, Reynolds, maybe Nick Gonzalez if he starts getting things figured out. Might not be that bad to watch, but it might be too little too late at that time too. So that's just the thing, man. It's just unfortunate because I like some of the talent they got. I do. And that's why I said, yeah, maybe they'll win 10, 15 more games than they did last year. And then the year after that is when they should really try to make a play. But again, that's just even too much expectations on that. So it's too bad, man. It's too bad because there's some talent there, and not even just at the point of having high expectations, but just there's some talent there to be better. There's some talent there that can make you better, and it's just the coaching and the management's just kind of failing everybody. It's too bad. Even next year, like, you're still going to have some good talent, and you can actually go out and make a move with that and actually kind of maybe make a change. But it's going to be probably too late come this year. So it is what it is. So again, it's one of those things of Pirate season finishing in 4th and 5th place as the trajectory looks right now. Don't know how you change things. Don't know how things get better right now. Like I said, I like some of the guys they got right now. Once Andy Rodriguez comes up too, at least, like, that's still exciting too. But again, coaching, management, it's just not there, man. It's just not there, and crap's got to change, because next year you're going to roll into next year with these guys as well, and guys that have talent, guys that can be future guys for you. Cruz, Reynolds, Hayes, Davis, Rodriguez, maybe a Sawinski, maybe Mitch Keller, Contreras, Oviedo possibly, Luis Ortiz, another pitcher I forgot to name that's been pitching pretty well, Bednar, a couple guys in your bullpen. You're going to have talent next year, man. And if you can actually go into next year and make some moves in free agency and commit to guys, bring guys in longer term, well, then you might start seeing some success with the team. But you fail to do that this year, and you're relying on a lot of question marks this year. It's not getting you anywhere. Your coaching isn't elevating the team. And it's too bad, like I said, because there's some talent here that can actually make some improvement. But it is what it is. So I'm going to end it there, guys. I'm not going to continue to keep rambling on saying the same thing. But I appreciate your guys' support. And I'm sure all you Pirate fans are with me. So I wanted to put that out there, put my mind on that and everything. So we'll be back, guys, probably sometime next week. Daniel and I will be back for Unofficial Steelers podcast. Give a follow to Who Are These Guys podcast with my friend with myself and Z. That will be in the link down below. But your guys' support means everything. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.